I'm a non-law graduate. I work for a boutique English practice in Zug, Switzerland. We specialize mostly in private wealth matters, but also do some asset finance and general commercial work. I came to Switzerland initially to study at a local university, then worked part-time at my firm, became a full-time trainee, and qualified recently. I wanted to take the SQE because it's a very, very flexible framework. The flexibility that you're given in terms of the kinds of employers, the amount of employers, when you take your exams, the sorts of breaks you might want to take in between, it's very, very comfortable for a working student. And there really isn't any other exam out there that will offer you that modularity. I decided to take a prep course because I think it's absolutely essential. Particularly the earlier cohorts of SQE students are going to be facing an exam that is relatively new, both to instructors and to candidates. I decided to go with QLTS school for many reasons. Their reputation among classmates and other people who've taken similar exams is very strong. Furthermore, the SQE itself is based on the QLTS exam, the earlier exam, to a great detail. As a result, QLTS school's materials just seemed naturally to be a very, very good fit for me. My experience studying with QLTS school was very, very good. The administration, the actual staff in London are very helpful. They are very responsive and understanding if you're experiencing problems with the course. But most importantly, the wealth of materials that you'll find in your online platform is enormous. It would be really challenging to seriously go through every model question, every model exam, but that's exactly the situation that I wanted to be in, and to have that wealth of material going into this big exam. And as a result, I had an excellent experience with QLTS school. The strongest advantages of QLTS school's approach and what you're getting as a student is the variety and the quantity of material, and that's all of the different stations that are covered by the SQE exam, all of the different kinds of letters and research reports you might be writing, as well as oral assessments you might be facing in the real exam. The material is just so vast and so detailed, and also at a very challenging level, that if a student engages with it seriously, there is no question that they're going well prepared into the exam. As an older working graduate, I took the preparation for this exam very, very seriously. I was determined to pass both stages on the first go. And as a result, I studied quite a bit. As I previously mentioned, I'm working, and I think most of my peers in my round of exams were also working. So you're really limited to your evenings and your weekends to put those hours in. On top of that, you might be lucky, like I was, to have an employer who will give you enough time off before the exam, which is also critical. Most people recommend 4 to 5 weeks of full-time study before the actual exam. So I would just say I really used every waking moment to prepare for this exam, but that's also because being part of the first group, the exam was quite intimidating just based on how mysterious it seemed. I was lucky to qualify at a very supportive firm. I got a stipend that covered a big chunk of my exam fees, and most importantly, I was given the freedom to regularly take a day off to study, and then before my exam take several weeks off. I highly recommend that wherever you're working before attempting the exams, do take that full month off because the quantity and the variety of assessments that you're going to be facing in the real exam is tiring, so you just need that time to really go through the materials. I felt very well prepared for the exam, but that's because I had a great course provider with a lot of materials, and I invested a lot of time going through those materials. I'm personally a big believer in repetition. I think that even smarter and more academically qualified candidates to this exam should also invest a bit more time than they might normally would, just because the quantity of the material is enormous. I mean, you're talking about 16 different assessments in about 15 different fields of law. If you are not a native English speaker, these materials are also excellent for you, but just budget the time accordingly. Passing the SQE has been life-changing for my career and my professional development. I didn't have this opportunity available to me practicing abroad, but with SQE you have all that flexibility to qualify in these kinds of more alternative positions. I feel very, very secure on my job market now because I really operate in a niche practice, and I'm just very, very grateful that SQE was available to me. Looking back, I firmly believe that a preparation course for SQE1 and SQE2 is essential. In the case of SQE1, you're dealing with very challenging questions that are often written in complex English. The prep course materials are going to help you successfully navigate those questions. With SQE2, a prep course is arguably even more important because the exact nature of the stations that you will be attempting varies greatly. The exam technique can really only successfully be taught by such a course, and I recommend QLTS school, particularly for SQE2. My biggest piece of advice for a potential candidate is give yourself time. At least a year of regularly, almost daily engagement with material will prepare you well. Furthermore, I'd say get a course. Make sure that that course offers you the opportunity to do some of those oral assessments in a realistic way. QLTS school was absolutely amazing for that, especially with the advocacy assessments, which a lot of people find challenging. And I would just say be patient. If you give yourself the time and you really repeat the material enough, this exam is doable. It's just a major time investment. I think that there are too many ideal qualities in a modern lawyer to list, but a few that I feel have been emphasized a lot in my practical experiences, of course, being detail-oriented. SQE1 is going to challenge any candidate to be very detail-oriented in terms of what they're reading. I think working together with other people is perhaps underrated as a skill, but is essential, particularly because as a practicing lawyer, you're going to be interacting with many people who don't have those legal skills, and you need to be able to explain things in a clear way to them. Finally, I think just a bit of determination and patience with your own professional development is an absolute must when you're at the beginning. Legal careers can last for decades. Doesn't mean that you have to stay a lawyer, but at the beginning, learning is tough and it takes time. So if you have the patience and you really want to go down this path, I think that it's totally doable, and SQE is one great way to do that.